right, everyone. So, we took a little break from HTML to talk about images, but I want to, go back and just do a little quick kind of review of what we covered about 2 modules ago. So we talked about hypertext markup language, also known as HTML. We talked about how HTML is a structuring language. Okay, its purpose is to add structure or meaning or semantic meaning or like a label to content. Okay, so I'm going to do a little example of this. I'm just going to create a new document here. So I'm in Visual Studio Code. By the way, you should download the files for today too, which is HTML part 2. I'm just going to make a new file. And new file. There we go. And I'm just going to copy some text here. So this is from East Bay Express. I'm just going to copy the headline and kind of the first 2 or 3 paragraphs. So I'm just going to copy this text. I'm going to paste it into here. A little bit of some awkward. I see. I'm just going to get rid of this part here. So this is what I end up with. This is the title. This is like the first 2 paragraphs of the article that I just showed you guys. I'm going to save this file. I'm just going to go to File and then Save, or Command or Control S. And I'm just going to save it inside of here. I'm going to call this I think it's about a band named Katie Clover, or Culver. So I'm going to call this culver.html. Okay, this is now an HTML file. And what I'm going to do is right click, and I'm going to open this in a browser. Okay, this is the result, okay, in that all of my text just kind of gets, taken and thrown into this web page. And everything looks pretty much the same. There's really no formatting of any sort. There's no sort of title or individual paragraphs. So the way that we can do this, the way we can add structure to our document, is by adding an HTML tag. HTML tags look something like this, in that they go in these angled brackets. There's typically an opening and a closing tag, meaning this is an opening. The closing tag is a repetition with the / in front of it. So I'm going to go inside here. I'm going to use a heading 1, or a primary heading, since this is the article title. I'm going to save. So this is my opening tag. This is my closing tag. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to refresh. Okay. And it makes it larger. So the reason why this is happening now, like why is it big and bold now and it wasn't big and bold before? The answer really is that because of this. This is structuring this. Or in other words, what it's doing is it's labeling this piece of text for my browser, for, in this case, Chrome, and it's saying, okay, see this text here? This piece of text is a heading. So you should treat it like a heading. Or not only that, you should treat it like a primary heading. And so that's why we end up with this big and bold text here. Okay. Now I want to kind of format these paragraphs. So what I'm going to do is we can use another HTML tag called a P tag. P is short for paragraph. So here's my opening tag. This is my closing tag. What I've done is I've structured this as a single paragraph. I've told the browser, hey, see this, block of sentences? This is a paragraph, and you should treat it like a paragraph. And I'm actually going to repeat it so that I can have 2 paragraphs here. It's okay if you repeat tags. You can, that's perfectly allowed to repeat tags. I'm going to save. I'm going to go back. Okay. And so now you can see that I'm getting these multiple paragraphs with this space. The reason why that's happening is because we've structured it. Keep in mind that, you can have these spaces here because the white space or the blank space is sometimes referred to as empty space is not calculated in your presentation. So, you know, whether I do this or this and I save, it doesn't influence or doesn't change the way it previews. The reason why you might want to do something like this is just to make it easier for people to read. So putting like spaces between major blocks in your code just might be helpful. And so that's kind of it. Once you sort of, you know, understanding opening tag, closing tag is kind of 70% of understanding HTML. After that, you basically just need to know the different tags and how they structure your content. So I'm going to take this album name here of Oakland's Cave Clove, and I'm going to make this bold by using the strong tag. So opening tag, closing tag, and I'm going to put the artist name Katie Culver into italics. So I'm going to use the EM tag. Opening tag, closing tag. And although this may not necessarily be grammatically correct, I'm going to put this quote as an underline, which is a U tag, just so we have a little variety in our text formatting. I'm going to save, and let's go back. All right, so there's my, this is making it bold, this is making it italics, this is underlining it. Okay, now that I have that, what I'm going to do is add in those basic page tags. Okay, so we talked about this last class. You guys did this as part of your lab, but let's just do a little more. So first is what's called a doc type. It goes at the very top of your document. The point of this is it dictates the version of HTML that we're using, as in the document type. Okay, this means HTML5, that's the current version. Next is, and let me kind of draw it out a little bit. What we want to do is we want to build a web document. So that's going to be the HTML tag. This the HTML tag tells the browser that everything inside of it follows the rules and the syntax of HTML, as opposed to other programming languages or structuring languages that currently exist. So I'm just going to put in HTML and everything is inside of this. This is what we call nesting. I'm going to hit save, and I'm actually going to, if you installed that plugin that or extension I asked 2 modules ago, it's called the Beautify extension. What you can do is you can then go to View Command Palette, and you can type in Beautify. And if I run, you're going to get a little option that says Beautify File, and you can see actually what it does is everything got indented, which is kind of nice. So it kind of does that for you. Now that I have this, remember that we're going to divide our document into 2 major sections. The first section is the head section. The head section is for information that is not for the users, but instead it's for the browser. Okay, so this is things like code, metadata, like keywords, website descriptions, things like that. Eventually it's going to be like code like CSS, JavaScript. We'll get to CSS. We're not going to talk about JavaScript in this class, but if you ever take JavaScript or teach it on your own, you would encode, you typically would put that into the head section. The other section is the body section, and that is where the content for the user goes. Okay. So basically the way I like to see it is like this whole page, this is East Bay Express, from here to the very bottom here, that is for the users. It has all of the content being like text and images and videos and all that sort of stuff. anything that the user's supposed to see, that should really be within the body section of your web page. So I'm going to put in the head section. I'm not going to really put any metadata. I might put in a title. A title is what goes on the top of my browser. That's going to go, I didn't preview it yet, or maybe I did, but I closed it. But when I preview it, it's going to go at the top, and I'm going to call this, let's just repeat the title, Cave Clove Katie Culver. Okay. So you can put text in here. You cannot put HTML tags within the title. It's not allowed, or in other words, it won't be formatted. You really shouldn't have any content like headings or paragraphs or anything inside of the head. Notice it's just the metadata, okay? And then I'm going to do the body tag. Once again, let's just do a quick little beautify, make it look a little pretty and beautiful. All right, so I did all this work by adding in like the doc type and the HTML tag and the head tag and the body tag. Unfortunately, it's not gonna like, you know, even though I did all this stuff, it's not gonna like magically make my page like a million times better, but it will structure it better. So let's go back. I'm just gonna right click, open in default browser. And you can't really see anything yet, although it does put the title on the tab here for me. And if I was to bookmark it, you would see it puts it into the name under bookmark. But if I was to look at the structure of my page, I just did a right-click inspect. You can see now it's divided into the head section and the body section. And the body section is where all of my content, like headings and paragraphs and all that stuff is going to go. Okay? So, you know, from now on, this is kind of the basic structure. We're most likely, when we work, we're going to have HTML pages. They're divided into head and body sections, and then, you know, content that we work on, like paragraphs and headings. Today we're going to talk about hyperlinks and images and videos. All of that would go into the body section.